All right. So, welcome back to the stream. Hopefully, you learned something in the last session we had. And today, we're going to be diving back in. We're going to be looking at how Alix Perez makes his bass and how he makes it feel live without over designing. So, we got a little beat here we're working on for the past couple days. Okay, so today is about making bass feel live. So not complex, not loud, not aggressive, but alive. And today we're going to design a movement that breathes instead of basses that constantly shout. So today we're going to switch our gears, and it's going to be about movement over complexity. So we can go back to Alix Perez's mid bass sound, and we can hear that in his music. They don't wobble constantly. He doesn't modulate everything. Also, he doesn't fill every gap in his tracks. They feel live because of small changes that happen slowly over time. And silence is part of a groove, whether you believe it or not. Silence is super important to rhythm and groove. And the bass reacts, it doesn't perform. So we're going to build on our system from day one. If you want to go back to day one of this series, and you can see that we started to build this out. So we're not going to start with a totally new patch. We're going to keep it familiar with what we've built already. We're going to use a triangle or saw wave, and let's do it. So dive right in. We have a triangle from before. Let's see what we had. Okay, let me turn this to audio. I feel like it's breaking up. Grab an audio track. Okay, so we got our sound where we want it to be. So I'm gonna mute this track. And let's see. Okay, that's not working well. That's fine. So I'm just gonna actually mute this. It's not doing what I wanted it to do. Okay, so where were we? So we're gonna start with our basic structure. Same tone as day one. So if you need an oscillator to create movement, you're kind of avoiding the real work. So we want to keep it familiar, and we'll use the same sound here. We're going to just filter our sound. Start with our low pass. Maybe add some band pass. Switch to band pass. Make it a little more active. This is where talking basses come from filter behavior, not distortion. Band pass instantly adds vowel-like characteristics to our sound without loudness. So let's do that. Let's hear what it sounds like. don't know, I'm getting all the static in the world today. Just my CPU is probably overloading a little bit. Okay, so we're going to introduce a slow and subtle LFO to the filter cutoff. That's going to help us create some subtle movement over time. And let's do it. Get that vowel-y sound. Keep it moving. So you want to keep the sound moving over time. Sorry about the static, if you're hearing static, but my CPU needs to restart, so my computer needs to restart. But that's just because we're overloading our tracks. I need to print some or turn off some effects. And now we're getting a more vowel-like sound. That's great. It's very subtle, but it's there. Let's solo it. Little resonance. Exaggerate it. Some key tracking. We're 80 hertz right now. It's too far. Let's test that out. A little bit out of timing. So if you hear the modulation too clearly, it's a little bit too much. So you want the envelope to influence now. Want the envelope to open slightly on each filter hit. I had to control decay. So we want to create, essentially, we want to create intention with every note that we play, without variation, without chaos, essentially. So the key things to walk away from this session are mute your drums and test it out. Test out your sound. That's important because you want to see how your bass is reacting. I like it in bandpass. So the key things to walk away with are: does your bass feel intentional? Does it sound like it's speaking and not wobbling? Or it feels too busy. You want to slow down your LFO a little bit and reduce that modulation depth on your LFO. And also remove some notes. Also, your composition plays a key role in how your sound develops. If you think it's too busy, your bass is too busy, then remove some notes. And yeah, hopefully learn something in this session. Just remember, one key takeaway from this is, if your bass needs constant modulation to feel alive, it's not live, it's more like anxious sounding. So you want to make it so that it doesn't constantly need that. With Alix Perez basses in particular, they move when they need to move, and they stop when they shouldn't be playing, and they also leave room for the drums. That's a key part of his style and genre. So play around with your band pass, play around with your low pass, play around with your high pass. We want to do some minimal modulation, and we get that instant talking effect. Perfect. Perfect for your productions. So last thing I want to end with is life and bass. With bass in general, we want to think restraint, not so much movement, because so that you can layer things on top of it. And the less you say, pretty much sometimes, the more people listen. So hopefully learn something in this session about sound design and designing your basses, Alix Perez style. I'll see you in the next live stream. Peace out. Keep sound designing. And let me know if you have any questions or what you want to see in the next future sessions. I do these sessions daily. Be sure to check the link in the description for sound design deep dives. And I'll see you in the next live stream. Peace out.